Hey, people of God, Pastor Che here, Associate Pastor at Victorious Life Christian Center, and I'm excited to bring you another mini message today. And the message for today is called Somebody is Counting on You. I know you might be saying, man, on me? Somebody's counting on me? Absolutely. Somebody is counting on you. And so I want you to understand today how significant you are, how important you are to the lives of other people. You know, I truly believe that there is something that you were put here on earth to do that only you could do, that there is somebody that you were put here to touch that only you can touch. You know, you were created with a purpose. God created you with a purpose. You know, as I talked about in the message last week, be grateful. You know, I talked about Jeremiah 1:5. God said to him, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And so I want you to know that God created you with an absolute purpose, and somebody is counting on you walking in your purpose. But one thing I want you to understand about your purpose is always bigger than you. God is a visionary. And so God had a vision for your life, and that vision incorporated you being able to use your gifts, your talents, your resources to touch the lives of other people, to draw them to Him. Everything about your life is to glorify God, and somebody is counting on you. You know, I want to give you a little story in the Bible to represent this topic today. And to do so, we're going to go to the book of Exodus, and I'm going to paraphrase for you chapters 1 through chapter 4 so that you can really see the beginning of Moses' life and how he stepped into his purpose. You know, the name Moses actually means to draw out, to draw out. And so isn't that ironic that he would be the one to go back into Egypt and draw the people of God out of that place? Let's talk about this story here. So Exodus chapter 1, you know, it begins with talking about Joseph. We know that Joseph was sold into slavery, and he ended up being there 13 years before he came out of that jail, out of that prison, and became second in command to Pharaoh. And God used the wisdom that he poured into Joseph to teach the people how to store and how to prepare for the famine. And he saved the people of Egypt because of that. And in doing so, his people, his brothers and his family ended up coming down. And so God's people ended up moving into the land of Goshen. And so as they lived there, they prospered. And the Pharaoh, that was the Pharaoh at that time, really allowed Joseph and his people to be cared for and have the best land. But you know what? Sometimes as time goes on, people tend to forget our history. People tend to forget what happened before them. And so when this new Pharaoh came, when he grew up and he became Pharaoh, he didn't recognize the importance of the people of God. Matter of fact, what he recognized was his fear that the people of God were prospering so much. And because they were prospering so much, that's when they began to put the people of God into bondage and make them slaves and make the work hard on them. And so it even got to the point where when they begin to enslave the people of God, they still begin to grow and multiply even more. And so the Pharaoh at that time gave the decree that any Hebrew boy that was born needed to be killed, dumped into the river. And so he told the midwives, the ones who were the ladies, the women who delivered the babies, that if it was a Hebrew boy, to kill the boys but save all the girls. But the midwives, they feared the Lord, they feared God, and because of that, they would not kill any of the Hebrew boys. And so the people continued to grow and to prosper. With that being said, when Moses was born, in the family of Levites, to his father and mother. He was a Levite. They put him in a basket because the decree was made for all the boys to be killed. And so they put him in this basket and sat it by the river. And so I believe it was Pharaoh's sister sent her servants to go get the basket. They saw it was the boy, and so she wanted to keep the baby. And so she took the baby back to the mother, had the baby nursed by the mother, and when the baby was able to be weaned off of being nursing, she took Moses in as her own and raised him up as if he was a part of the Egyptian family. But one day, as Moses was older, he saw some Egyptians being very cruel to some Hebrew people, Hebrew men, and he went over there and he killed that Egyptian and hid his body. And so the next day, he saw two of the Hebrew people arguing amongst one another, and he went over there to break up the argument, and they said, "What are you going to do? Are you going to kill us like you did that Egyptian?" And so Moses' fear gripped his heart, because he said, man, if they know what I did, then the story must spread, and so I got to get out of here. And so Moses left, and he went on the backside of the desert. And while he was out there, he met some girls who were herding some sheep, and he saved them from these cruel shepherds, and he watered their flock, and they were able to make it back home to their father. And so when they made it back home, the father said, "What happened?" And the women told him, and they said what Moses did. And so he said, "Bring him in so that we can feed him." And they took Moses in, and they fed Moses, and the father ended up giving Moses one of his daughters in marriage to Moses. And so one day when Moses was out in the desert, he was walking and tending the sheep, and he saw a bush, and the bush was burning, but it didn't seem like it was burning up. And so Moses approached the bush, and when he got close enough, he heard the voice of the Lord say, "Moses, don't come any further, for the place that you are standing is holy ground. Take off your sandals." And so he took off his sandals, and you know what? The story, God began to speak to him and tell him what his purpose is. If we were to go to Exodus 3:10, this is when God gave Moses his purpose. He says, "So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." Oh man, check this out. I told you in the beginning when Moses was named Moses that his name means to draw out. And so now in his adulthood, God is giving him the command to go back to Egypt and to draw out his people. Man, the story goes on, and Moses, when God gives him his purpose, what does Moses do? Moses begins to speak doubt and speak fear. He's like, well, how could I do that? What's so special about me? How am I supposed to do that? Why would they believe in me? And so God said, "What is in your hand?" And Moses had a stick. God said, "Throw the stick down." When he threw the stick down, the stick became a snake. And God said, "That's one of the signs that I will give you to show them that I am with you." He said, "Pick the snake up by the tail." When he picked the snake up by the tail, it turned back into the staff. Next, he had Moses stick his hand in his shirt. And when he pulled it out, his hand became white and leprous. And when he put it back in and pulled it out, it became healthy skin again. So what I want you to understand is that as God gave Moses this ability, he was preparing him to go back because the people of God were counting on him. And that's what I'm saying. Somebody in your life is counting on you becoming your best self. Somebody in your life is counting on you to not be afraid to do something that you've never done before, because God is your equipper. God is your provider. God will never leave you nor forsake you. He will equip you with everything you need along the way. And so Moses goes on to tell God, "Well, how can I speak to Pharaoh? I'm slow. I'm not good at speaking." And God became upset that Moses was doubting himself. But he said, you have a brother named Aaron, and Aaron is a good speaker. I will make Aaron be your mouth. You will speak through him, and you will be like God to Aaron. And so God begins to speak life into Moses, and Moses says, well, when I go to Pharaoh, who should I say sent me? And God said to him, say, I am sent me. Oh man, do you know who we serve? The great I am sent me. Do you know that somebody's counting on you and the great I am sent you to them? Man, you got to be fired up today because somebody's counting on you. You need to understand how significant you are. You know, I've learned in life that leadership is simply this, it's influence. And in order for you to lead others, you need two things. Number one, you need to be led, and you need to learn how to lead yourself. You know what? I'm going to say it again. Somebody is counting on you. What are they counting on you for? Somebody's counting on you to overcome fear. Somebody's counting on you to overcome doubt. Somebody's counting on you to overcome insecurity. Somebody's counting on you to overcome negative self-talk. Somebody's counting on you to overcome what other people say and think about you. Somebody is counting on you to overcome the feelings of quitting and giving up. Somebody's counting on you. You know, somebody's counting on you for confidence. Somebody's counting on you for hope. Somebody's counting on you for the strength to go to their next level. Somebody's counting on you for belief. Somebody's counting on you for guidance. Somebody's counting on you to be the example. You know what, people of God? I want to leave you with this. It's a quote that I heard from former pastor and leadership author John C. Maxwell, and he said this: you cannot give what you don't have. If you want to increase the ability of a teammate, make yourself better. And so I want to tell you, people of God, somebody is counting on you, but you know what they're counting on? They're counting on you being your best self. God is counting on you. The great I am is counting on you. He created you with a purpose. Before you were formed in the womb, He knew you. He knew the people that would count on you. And so God today is asking you to step up to the plate. Step up to the call on your life. Don't be lazy. Don't fall in love with the couch. Don't fall in love with not being productive in helping the kingdom grow, because somebody is counting on you. God bless.